Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Whenever or wherever you're watching this, we're bringing you Endless Blading
Andrew
Show,
for
episode 15. We are honored to be here today with Ari Bortz. You guys probably know him as the Stuttering Skater. All of our Instagram, YouTube, all the socials. Honestly, kind of a living legend within the skating community and especially the post-COVID skating community. Ari, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you on.
I'm happy to be here. Appreciate the hospitality.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, joined by Brad, founder and designer of Endless Blades. We've got Ari on today to talk about, I think, an absolutely awesome product, and almost, there's really nothing else like this on the market. It is officially the Powerslide Next Endless AB. Keeping with the cool kind of technically sounding names that Brad loves, but unofficially, it is the Stuttering Skater signature skate. And it's, I think, Ari, when I watch you skate this skate, it's just like your style in a skate. You got to showcase, I think, some of just your best skating in New York City. But yeah, before we get to that, Ari, for those that don't know you, give us a little bit of background. Kind of what's your thing?
That's a really good question. So I come from kind of come from an ice hockey background. So I started playing ice hockey when I was 18, and it was like my thing. And I was on the ice like 2 to 3 times a week, and it was how I was able to like have have a healthy outlet. And then COVID happened in 2020, and all of the ice rinks in New York got shut down, and I was just going out of my mind. And I also I had I had just moved into a new apartment, and I had the worst neighbors, and I felt extremely trapped, and extremely frustrated with their noises and behavior. So I ordered a pair of skates online, and it was a way for me to like tap into the I'm I'm like tap into the same skating kind of like feeling m- m- and motion, while also like yeah, having that feeling of freedom that I think everyone kind of craves. So that's like how I got started. And, after that, I just, haven't really stopped essentially. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think your hockey background, I think definitely translates into the skating that I've been able to see. But yeah, I think it's an experience a lot of us can relate to, right? The kind of like claustrophobia of COVID, and I know Brad can relate to the neighbors. But yeah, just wanting to be free and get out there, and yeah, it's a feeling like no other. But yeah, so how did this happen, right? Because Ari, you're right. You're known for your New York skating. Brad, you are not in New York. You are obviously
no.
in California, across the country. How do we get here to this kind of stuttering skater signature skate, right? How'd you guys first kind of meet up?
Oh yeah, that's
Uh,
it. How did we connect?
um, I think and I'll give my answer, and then I'll have Brad chime in on his. But I think what happened initially is I purchased a pair of Powerslide necks, actually, and it was a three by 125 millimeter frame, so it was big, and I enjoyed it a lot. But I heard a lot about endless frames, and at that point, demand was so high, and I was trying to get my hands on a Trinity endless frame, and the only option I could find, um I believe it was an endless 100. And because the 90s were just like always out of stock and extremely backordered. I really enjoyed the experience on the hundreds, just like that, like endless rocker was just like um kind of reminded me a little bit of an ice skate, and I was able to like transition over a lot quicker, I guess. And I remember like being able to generate speed without having to lift up like my feet at all, just like going, just like rocking back and forth. And I remember really enjoying that. And then I was able to get my hands on an endless 90, and then I think I reached out to Brad, and I was like, hey, like you, you, you don't need my help at all because everyone loves your products, but I would love to potentially collaborate with you. And then we started chatting essentially.
So, Brad,
Yeah.
what's your side of the story as you remember it?
No, that sounds about right. Sorry, I was fixing an audio issue on Instagram, but I think everything should be good now on Instagram. Let me know if anyone's having trouble over there. Um, I think that sounds about right. I don't remember when. At some point, I just started sending you stuff,
Yeah,
and I don't remember if we.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember though if we actually did. We have phone calls? Did we have a conversation? Um,
Yeah.
or was I just like free stuff for everybody?
No, we had calls, and I was also like kind of new to the social media game at that point. And like I remember like having a coaching call with someone who said like never give away anything for free, like in terms of exposure. And I was just like, okay, Brad, like here are my rates. And I remember you being like, okay, like I don't think that is an arrangement. I was brand new to everything, right? And I was just like,
Yeah, this is
well,
before you even had your YouTube channel.
yeah, yeah, no, I was just like I had a TikTok and an Instagram, and that's it. And then I remember you asking me if I wanted to try a new frame, and that frame was the 90 LR. And that's,
Yeah.
so I got that before you announced it, and I gave you some feedback on it,
Yeah.
and I've been on that frame ever since.
Yeah, and that was a few years ago. That would have been 2021,
20 2020, 2022, maybe.
maybe. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So,
early 2022.
yeah. And then somewhere along the way, you went from just being a guy bugging me about some frames to having this massive YouTube channel. So what the heck happened there?
That's a really good question. And um, I had hmm, like social media was like a whole new thing to me, and I I kind of like saw it as an interesting challenge to try to figure out different different platforms. So like I did a pretty good job with TikTok. It was a lot of work, and I didn't see like the benefits were not as high as the effort. And I also like kept on getting banned from TikTok. Like I got banned like 3 dozen times from TikTok. And then I like moved over to Instagram, and I was able to like figure it out, like what the algorithm likes, what you know people kind of like. And then I tried to do that the same thing a little bit on YouTube, and I struggled quite a bit just because it's a different platform. It's significantly more demanding. Um and I didn't have a production background. I don't know how to edit extremely well. like my early edits were all over the place. And then, but like I kept up with it for the most part, and then I made a really good long form video with Christian and Aaliyah, and the like I worked on that for like 4 months, and it was like a 20-minute video, and the algorithm really liked it, and then it started to introduce all of like my old videos into the algorithm, and then everything, you know, kept on getting served up, if you will. And yeah, and then it just like like I remember the summer of 2023, I had a goal to hit like 10,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. I had started the summer with like 3,000 subscribers, and like in the month of July alone, I like I had gained over 100,000 subscribers in that month alone, and I was just like,
Yeah, I remember
holy
that. I
crap.
remember
So that
getting
was
like
just
100.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was like insane, and you know, it's continue to grow. It has its up months and it's, you know, but it's cool to see how many people have enjoyed us like being exposed to an approachable style of rollerblading again, kind of thing. And yeah, I've kind of enjoyed that a lot.
It's been super fun to watch, Ari. I feel like every time I see, yeah, you come up, you've I think just crafted, I think, really good content. And so, you know, there's a lot of people who I think kind of look up to you. Is there like a special formula? I know you don't want to give away too many of your secrets, but
No, I'm
like,
happy to give away everything.
yeah. So like, what do you think, you know, kind of resonates the most with people when you go to think about, you know, content, engaging people, right? You almost alluded to, I think earlier, that it was like kind of a puzzle for you, you know, trying to figure out this different social media stuff. So how do you approach it? Kind of what's your special sauce?
Yeah, so my approach is like I try to make every piece of content kind of like an episode of like of Seinfeld or Friends, where like in order to enjoy it and appreciate it, you don't need prior context at all. It's just like anyone is able to just, you know, see a video, understand the concept, even if they skate or even if they don't. It make no difference, basically. And that's been like my approach and strategy is just how do like how do I build access points into a storyline so that anyone is able to see it and appreciate it and at least understand what's going on. And I think that like skating kind of or any action sport suffers like from the average person who's consuming it doesn't have context as why it's impressive or significant. So my approach is always just like try to make it as approachable as possible with every piece of content, if that makes sense.
Right. And I think too, I think that that philosophy, right, really permeates, I think, into the skate itself, right? And trying to make, you know, your style of skating more accessible or that type of skating. You're getting lots of love, I know, in the YouTube comments right now, you know, lots of people saying how much of an inspiration you've been and how, you know, one that really stood out to me is I love how seeing how freeing skating makes him look. You can just see it on your face. And I think that rings true. So yeah, lots of good love in the chat.
Andrew, are you not able to throw up the comments on the screen?
Unfortunately, I'm no longer admin, Brad, so I can't throw up the comments.
Why?
I know.
What happened?
Getting demoted.
All right, I gotta fix that for next time. Here, I'll find some There's a ton of good comments here. I know the one that you were just talking about.
So
Sorry,
I think
guys.
before we dive into this skate, because I think there's a lot of good stuff to talk about here. And philosophy behind it, design. People are already asking some great questions about, why Powerslide, what's the design philosophy,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Lots of good stuff. But Ari, I think you're really, really lucky, I'll say, in that you get this urban playground of New York City, which I think is, we have Leon Basin coming for, Wizard of Wall Street to skate. It is one of the skater destinations. And I know that, we're so influenced by our skating environment. I guess, how has New York kind of shaped your skating style? How have you learned from New York? What is it like to play in that kind of urban landscape for you?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I love New York. I think that every discipline and every sport needs structure in order to work, in order to make sense. And one thing I love about New York is there's so much structure, where like the street, like all of Manhattan is a grid, right?
Mhm.
So you have a grid that has structure. There's all of the traffic lights are are all on different schedules, and they're interacting with each other. Every street, the most part, is a one way. Every cross street is a one way, except for like a dozen streets up in town Manhattan, and then most avenues are also one ways, right? So
Mhm.
there's all this structure where, and then there's a bunch of like general traffic flow, and
Mhm.
then it's like you have to adhere to those rules. It's like the laws of physics, where like you just those are not changing. And then like, but in between the lines, you can kind of make it your own, essentially. So I think that that's like, there's like good structure, and then an opportunity to just like do whatever you want in that, in those parameters, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that makes total sense. And I love that, context of like, you can't change the traffic flow, you can't change the
Yeah.
direction of the street. So you're kind of constrained almost. But I think there's beauty in kind of what you make of that freedom. And the amount of traffic you have to weave through, I'm not envious of.
It's
I know.
fun, I'm not gonna lie.
And it seems like most of the time you are zipping by, most of the traffic. I think if I've learned anything, is that commuting in New York by rollerblades is probably the fastest mode of transport, maybe bar
Yeah.
the subway.
Yeah, it's up there for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think if you want, Brad, we can get into this.
Yeah, I think
Beautiful skate. But yeah, go for it if you want to.
I think there's been a lot of questions in the chat about Ari setup. So maybe as a nice segue into the skate we created,
Yeah.
maybe Ari, you can just talk about what you had been skating up until this point and why you've chosen or those particular parts, or why you like the boot, a certain liner, certain wheels, etc. And then we'll jump into the skate.
Yeah. So, I mean, up until this project, I've been in the same setup since 2022 almost. And it's a Powerslide next with an endless 90 LR frame. And I was skating prior with an Intuition liner. And the wheels I use like kind of fluctuated between hydrogens, the endless wheels, occasionally hydrogen pros if I want to go super fast.
Mhm.
And And yeah, so that's been my setup over the last like 3.5+ years.
And
It's just been that.
and maybe you can just give people that aren't familiar with Endless products, maybe you can just tell them what is it about the Endless 90 LR frame that you like? What makes it special to you compared to, say, the stock frame that the Powerslide Next would have come with?
Yeah, so I like Endless 90 LR because it's extremely low to the ground. It's almost like it's in the channel of the boot. Like it's really tucked in there. Um, it is the perfect length for my size foot, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Um, and uh, it's it's pretty stiff, and like just having that like subtle intuitive rocker, it just makes turning on it a breeze. It makes accelerating a breeze, and it can hold speed pretty well too. Like just for context, like last year I hit a gnarly hill bomb in Utah to down Little Cottonwood Canyon, um, and which is like, I mean, it's like it's 8 miles, extremely steep, extremely high consequence, and I was on the Endless 90 LR on the Next, uh, which is like you should not be hill bombing on a rocker frame ever,
Yeah.
like bar none. But because that frame is extremely low to the ground and also like stiff enough, like I got speed wobbles once and I was like consistently, like I think I reached like 54
Oh shit,
miles an hour, uh
that's crazy.
going
That's so
down there,
fast.
and like it held up really, really well. Like I was,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like any other frame that had a small, like, you know, I, even if it didn't have a rocker, like I think I would be in trouble there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Um,
I like it.
there might be some people listening that don't know what a rocker is, so maybe you can explain that to people.
Okay, I'll try my best. I just became an engineer recently. I'm not an engineer.
That
But
would be me and Andrew.
basically, oh, I did not know that. Cool. Uh, I
He's a
feel at home.
professor, man. He teaches
Amazing.
at
Oh,
the university level.
okay. I would have loved like a smidge of context prior, but that's okay. All right, I'll be embarrassed. It's all good. I'm used to it. A rocker is basically at the front wheel and the back wheel are like a smidge higher than the two middle wheels, basically. So instead of having to, you know, to like initiate a turn and having all of the wheels um having to be powered, all you need to power is like a front 2.5, or the back 2.5. I'm probably not explaining that extremely well, but yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I
And
mean, we can the teaser post we posted when we launched the skate did an excellent job kind of depicting the rocker.
mhm.
So um, we can get into that a little more. But that was a pretty good job. But basically, yeah, having a rocker allows the skate to be a little more intuitive for turning and carving, um, and it makes it feel more agile despite the length. And so I would say one of the benefits of the endless frames that I design are that while the wheelbases are long and give you stability, the subtle rocker, restores some agility and maneuverability.
Mhm.
Yeah, like when I first tried the Endless 90, I was like, oh, like this setup feels like I'm on an 80 millimeter frame, like
Mhm.
with the 80 millimeter wheels. So like I was just like, all right, like I get like I just have all upside. I have more stability, and I'm able to hold speed a little bit more, and yeah, on and on and on. So
Yeah.
So speaking of wheels, why 90 millimeter?
so um I think it strikes the perfect balance of and just to clarify, not all of the skates in this run have 90 millimeter wheels. For the smaller sizes, it's 84s. But I think it just it has the upside of holding more speed, going through uh pebbles or other debris significantly easier, while also uh being able to control a little bit more, and you're also like pretty low onto the ground as well. And I think that it kind of strikes a perfect balance there. That's just my, yeah.
It does seem to be a sweet spot for length, agility, acceleration, speed. It's like, yeah, 100, 110 millimeter wheels will give you like a higher top speed. But if you're zipping through a city where it's a lot of stops and starts,
Yeah. No, it's
yeah,
exhausting.
yeah.
And it's why it's the best selling frame. And I think, a great balance of those things for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's do you guys have this skate? I feel like we should
Yeah, we should show the
show the
skate.
audience. I don't know, Brad, if you want to highlight Ari. Look at that. I mean, it's such a beautiful skate here. It's well loved, and look at that thing. Oh my gosh. So we've got the Powerslide next boot, right, as Ari has been discussing. We've got the Endless 90 LR, or depending on your size, it could be an 84 or an LRX, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. You know, sweet liner, endless wheels, twin cam bearings. I mean, it's the full skate package. I mean, like, what else could you want? And yeah, wow. So
Yeah.
talk me through this guy. And I think there's a really cool quote on the back too, right? That's
Yeah. Which
yeah.
so yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, let's talk about all that. Oh, that's a great close up. Cool. So yeah, Brad, Ari, talk me through, like, how did we land here on this skate? Obviously, Ari, you've loved the next boot for a long time. It sounds like the 90LR has been kind of one of your go-to frames for the city. But yeah, talk me through putting all these pieces together, and kind of how we landed on, color, how we landed on the boot, the liner. Just talk me through the iterations here. I want all the juicy design details of this process.
We should also start with, when did we first come up with this idea? Like how did we decide that we were going to make a skate? Because to the best of my knowledge, I think this is the first skate ever created by a skater who's not, affiliate, like an employee of a skate brand, or, officially sponsored by a skate brand, or a shop owner. So I think this is an industry first, actually.
Yeah, it really is. And this is the legend right here who made who made it possible. The first, right, like the first pro skate not by a pro.
I mean, I don't know, like I don't know if anyone has done it prior or not. That doesn't really matter to me. For me, it's just I'm extremely proud of what we ended up with, and I think it's phenomenal quality, and also phenomenal value as well. And that's like one of the things I advocated for constantly throughout this project. You can ask Brad about that. But yeah, so
Yeah, I mean it's an absolute steal. I mean, I was shocked when you guys released the price for this thing. I mean, right? It's like
It's kind of an absurd price.
it's kind of an absurd price. Like, let's be honest here. Like,
So the boot
you're
is $499 US.
yeah.
It's really so we should go through all the components and talk about why we chose what we did. But and Ari, obviously you should tell the story of the skate, what the inspiration was. But yeah, this is basically, if you were to put this together, about an $800 skate if you were to try
Right.
and collect all the parts and assemble it. But we did that for you, and you only have to pay $499, which is
Yeah.
kind of silly. So Ari, so
You guys
obviously
started this a long time ago, right? You guys were
yeah, we started talking
yeah,
about it was probably before last year. I think we kind
yeah,
of
it
were
was,
like, hey,
yeah, it was like it was like October or November of 2023. Um, we had started a project and playing around with different designs and concepts and ideas. Um, and it was actually, yeah, we were aiming to come out with something like a year ago, but it just, there was a lot, like I had a lot happen in my personal life and other delays. And yeah, but this started end of 2023.
yeah. And we knew right away. So you knew you wanted to do a next because you're such a huge fan of the
Yeah,
next.
yeah,
And thankfully, we both have a pretty good relationship with Matthias at
yeah,
Powerslide.
yeah. He
And
was,
he
oh yeah,
was, yeah, he was kind enough to jump on board as a collaboration partner. And then we knew, I think pretty early on, we knew that we wanted to create something that gave all skaters, regardless of their foot size or skill level, a similar experience, which I think is, it's really core to the whole like endless philosophy. That's kind of how I've always tried to recommend frames to people. But I think we put out a skate that really kind of embodies that. But maybe you can talk a little bit about that. The
yeah.
boot
So
to the boot to frame ratio.
yeah, yeah. So you know, I, I, as I've grown on social media, I get quite a few messages online, and excuse me, and it's always like, hey, like I want to try rollerblading. What skate should I get? And I always like, I'm like kind of a maximizer. I want to ask, be like, oh, like tell me your size, like yada yada yada,
Mhm.
and like I had people who message me and say like, I want to get this skate. Is it a good, you know, um, is it a good decision? And I was just like, okay, you're a size 11, and you're buying a skate that has an 80, a 4 by 80 millimeters setup with a 243 millimeter frame. So your boot is here, and then your frame is like here underneath you.
Mhm.
And it's like you're gonna have a bad time. And I kind of felt like, and I understand if you're like in the skate manufacturing business, it's hard to like, you know, uh cater to everyone in the same way. But I felt like there wasn't a product on the market that was consistent throughout, in order to like try to ensure everyone has the same the same skate experience out of the box. And I would always get kind of frustrated with that, because I felt that that was like holding back our sport. If the average person's experience out of the box is painful or highly consequential, I kind of want to change it a little bit, if that makes sense. That's what got me kind of thinking on if I'm gonna come out with a project, I want to have 3 different size frames, um, throughout a size range in order to ensure everyone is able to have the same experience, the same experience out of the box, basically. So that's where like having a good boot to frame ratio is critical in a having a good time, being able to like have confidence to progress, and if you do end up in a sketchy situation, at your chances of like having a gnarly slam is not as high, essentially. So that's what like was the impetus for this project, if you will.
Ari, do you mind if I kind of illustrate this boot or elaborate on this boot to frame ratio thing a little bit?
Yeah, please.
So here we have the boot. I've got it set up with 3x100. The 90 LR frame, actually all the frames that are on the skate, regardless of what size you buy, also have a 3-wheel setup. So this is a size 42 boot, and you'll notice that the length of the frame relative to the boot is kind of like the first and the last wheel are like right at the toe and the heel of the boot. And so regardless of whether you're a size 37 or you're a size 30 or 45, the frame that comes with the boot will always have this same proportion. It'll kind of, your first and last wheel will be roughly at the toe and the heel of the boot. So that's kind of what we mean by having this consistent frame to boot ratio. Did I miss anything?
No, that sounds spot on. And Brad, right, when it comes to getting this 90 experience, right, we like it looks like you had to add a frame right to the lineup. You had to add the this new long version of the LR, which is, I think, a really exciting opportunity, because really for the first time, the Bigfoot skaters are going to have that same low to ground 90 experience that the smaller sizes have, and I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, on the so we had the Endless 84 Trinity frame already, which is a 255 millimeter wheelbase, and that comes on. Is it just the smallest size, Ari, or is it the 2 smallest sizes? I think it's the 2 smallest sizes.
Yeah.
So 30, 37 and
39.
And 39, basically, right?
Yeah.
Or 30. Yeah, I think that's right.
37 and the 38, 39.
Okay, right. And then, we've had for the one, these are all Trinity mount frames. We can talk about that, but it's a 3-point mount. So it's got 2 frame mounting bolts in the front of the foot and 1 in the back. Other types of skates have just a 2-point mount, like this rollerblade twister I have. And so we've always had, for 165 mount, we've had the 90 ES frame, which is an extended length 4x90 frame designed specifically for larger footed skaters. So we knew that we needed to create a similar product for Trinity, and Ari likes the 90 LR so much, which is the low ride version. So it's really optimized. Here, Ari, I'll spotlight you so you can hold up your skate here.
Hold up my skate.
Yeah. So Ari's got the 4-wheel set up, and so we've designed. Yeah, the ride height of this frame is set to really take advantage of the Trinity interface and get those wheels tucked up as tight as possible to the boot. And so what I did is I designed a version that extends the wheelbase to 291 millimeters, the frame that Ari's showing right now is 276 millimeters. So for sizes 44, 45, and then 46, 47, those get the 90 LRX is what we're calling that frame. And so all three frames can do a 3-wheel setup in addition. So the 4-wheel setup has the balanced rocker. That was the rockered setup that Ari's talking about, where the front and the last wheel are slightly above the ground. We're talking like sub-millimeter amount of rocker here. But the 3-wheel setups are what I call enhanced
flat.
like rocker. But it's essentially flat. But you can feel it. It's enough to where when you go to, you put pressure on your heel to carve, it feels like you've already skated the skate for like, an hour. And so I actually skated the boot for the first time on Sunday, and I was skating 3x100 on a trail skate. And it was great. So all three setups can do 3x100.
Yeah, I think having that versatility too is great for city cruising. But we did not compromise on the 4-wheel setup. The 4-wheel setup is pretty much the lowest, I think, on the market. And really, I think, it takes advantage of the Trinity lineup. Yeah, that second wheel is always the sticking point on 165 mounting, because that's right where the mounting bolt is. But in this, in this frame, as Ari showing off, right, you get right down that middle line, and it feels great. It feels like such a great connection to the ground. And I love the Trinity setup personally. I don't know if you feel this way, Ari, but it feels like such a sturdy, firm connection and really responsive, I think, between my foot and the frame.
I think like one of the main reasons why I really enjoy skating backwards is because of those like 2 points of contact, like right by the ball of my feet. So I can really just I just have more like torsional stability there, and I'm like comfortable like pretty much everywhere in that, like just in that position basically. And I think it's essentially because of that. That's just my perspective.
Yeah, I do notice that. I mean, I think that the primary benefit to the Trinity system is, Powerslide will tell you it's a really low ride height because they've moved the mounting on the side of the wheels, so you can there's no frame mounting bolt interfering with the second wheel. But I think the primary benefit of Trinity is that 4-foot stiffness you get from the 2-point mount. Like you really feel it. Like you really feel that increased power transfer when you go to push. You're extending your leg on a stride. There is definitely something to that feels really good. It just feels solid in the front of the foot.
Yeah, I don't get that experience with any other skate I've tried, ever. Like even, like the closest I've ever felt like that is on like on the rollerblade twister, just because of the aluminum blocks are there, so there's extra like torsional stiffness, I guess, there. But
well, rollerblade also has this, like they call it the anti-torsion box. They've created a box structure that stiffens up the base of the foot, and I'd say it gets really close to the feel of the Trinity.
It's just a lot higher up, so it's just like, why would I yes, it's able to try to accomplish the same thing, but like I would rather take that and be extremely low to the ground, basically. Like my 90s hit as high as like someone's 84s or 80s on like a traditional, setup. I haven't measured it, but that's just how, you know,
Yeah,
how it
I would
feels.
agree. I would say that this probably skates as high as 4x84 on like a 165 boot. So yeah,
Yeah.
it does feel lower. And before, I'm sure somebody at some point is going to go here. All right, maybe we should hold yours up. They're going to go, wait, you said that this is the lowest Trinity frame on the market, but I see all these gaps. So what everyone needs to keep in mind is there's a Trinity spec that we design to when we're designing the frames. And I have to make sure that any Trinity frame will fit on any Trinity boot that Powerslide makes for all sizes. So while you may see a gap on Ari's size, what is that, size 40, 41?
Yeah.
What do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah. So while you may see a gap, you
41.
may be like, oh, there's some clearance between that next boot and those wheels. There might not be that same clearance on another size with a different Powerslide boot, like an Evo or a Zoom. So,
Right.
so yeah,
I mean, like, if I don't know if you can see, if you have a look at the middle wheel over here, you're like really in there. Like that's like,
it's in
yeah,
there. Yeah,
there's a gap here, but like you're like in the boot here at this point. Like it's really low.
yeah,
Like on any other mounting, you would have a frame bolt there, and
Mm.
it would have to be higher up. So that's just like the main reason why
yeah.
I love it. So
I
anyway.
think it probably rides about 5 to 6 millimeters lower than 4x90 on 165. So it's appreciable. Yeah.
Appreciable.
Yeah, good word. Let's see. So these frames, they got a special finish compared to my normal frames, are because Ari wanted special treatment.
I'm a
No,
special guy. Well,
is a special
special guy.
guy.
What can I say?
He deserves it.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, I wouldn't go that
This
far,
is
but
this is like a finer beat blast, so it has like a really cool. I don't know if you guys see this. It changes, depending on like the light, the angle of the light. So sometimes it looks very light colored and bright, and other times it looks very dark.
yeah,
So it's a very dynamic color, which is cool. Like, yeah, you can see it like that. It looks very dark, but
Hmm.
when I get the light right on it, so it's got a nice high end sheen, which is kind of cool. And of course we, match the colors to the metal parts of the hardware and, the inside of the liner. Maybe it's a good time, Ari, to talk about the aesthetics, the whole concept for the aesthetics.
yeah.
And then maybe we'll get into this and the logo on the wheel, the tagline on the wheels. Do we lose
Oh
Ari
no,
for a second?
Not the
Where's your camera, man?
not the camera. What's going on?
There
Oh,
you go. You're back.
Hang on. It's not the right one though.
we'll try to alternate. Tech checks yesterday, but
Yeah.
you can only
So
go
in
so
the
far.
Instagram chat, we got our good friend Alexi Marita. What's up, Alexi?
Oh, hey, Lexi.
What's
And
up, Alexei?
I saw Austin in the chat over there on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Austin said "sexy skate" there.
Yes.
Shout out to
I would
Austin for all
agree.
his beautiful product photography.
Yeah. Yeah. I like all of her photography, even the action stuff. It's all him. So
Yeah. The thumbnail from this video, that was his photo too.
yes, I'm gonna try to restart my camera here. I'm
Yeah.
eating or something, but
While Ari's getting that sorted out, maybe we can throw up a comment or two and answer some quick questions. Andrew, did you manage to log into
Unfortunately not, Brad. I'm still locked out. I'm keeping a pretty good
Okay, cool.
eye on the chat.
Are you just commenting through YouTube?
I am commenting through YouTube.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
You can always, as a shout out, I know people pop in, they have lots of questions for us. You can always message Endless Blading. We'll get back to you. Brad loves answering DMs on Instagram too. So never hesitate to reach out.
Please flood my inbox.
And then you're welcome to DM me on Instagram as well at Dr. Blader. on Instagram. Happy to chat with you guys too.
Here is a good question. I'd love to upgrade my
Carbon.
5-wheel Endless to carbon version. Any chance Endless is doing carbon wizard frames? No, we won't.
That would be a lot of money.
That'd be a lot of money.
That would be
And
so expensive.
yeah, I just don't have expertise in carbon manufacturing. So that's probably not something we'll be doing, but cool idea. All right. Are you back,
I
Ari?
can
Are
try it
you,
if
you
you'd
said
like. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm back. I can try it if you'd like. I'm not an engineer or
Ari
a
said free
designer,
stuff. I'm in.
but if you give me your money, I will try to make you a carbon frame.
So anyway, aesthetic concept. How did we come up? I remember what I told you. So do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
I'm scared about you going first, but you go first anyway.
All right, I'll go first. I remember when we first started talking about this, I was commenting how there's a lot of skates on the market where the manufacturers make these really bold color choices and shops are scared to stock them because they're afraid that they might not sell well, or they're things that are so like trendy in the moment, like say the Barbie skate, which came out. There's a number of Barbie skates that came out like when the movie came out. And so maybe like the next season they don't look so cool. So my thought was, hey, we should make something that kind of is more of a blank palette, maybe something that would appeal to shops and is something that people could personalize in some way.
Yeah. And then I I kind of heard that and I was like, okay, so we want to make something kind of timeless, basically. And then, w- like, I was playing around with a few different designs and ideas, and like nothing had a lot of inspiration behind it. It was like, I like this color, I like that color, yada yada yada. And then like it's like, okay, like what about if we like choose a theme that like I kind of like that like strongly resonates with me, and like that theme was like a timeless watch, basically, right?
Mm.
Something that is not just a fashion statement, but it also has a lot of utility. It's a good investment, and that's like kind of where it kind of clicked, basically. And um, we were like, here's the concept of how we want to like build around. So that was the inspiration for the skate design. So we wanted it to be extremely, extremely classy, timeless, but also had a lot of utilities, something you can beat the hell out of, and it is still, you're still able to rely on it. Yada yada yada. And like I've been skating this pretty hard since November, and for it being a white skate, it still looks pretty damn good.
I was gonna
But
say it looks great still.
yeah, like there's obviously like a few scuffs here, but
Mine's still clean. I
yeah,
only skated it
but
once.
like even for it being kind of grimy at the moment, I think it still looks pretty damn good. But yeah,
Yeah.
like so like that's where the touch of red accent on the eyelets of a liner comes from. It's like to um you know take inspiration from like the second hand, on a watch. So yeah, that's like the
And I should add,
inspiration.
we matched that watch color secondhand pretty spot on too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The color matching process is a whole nother conversation.
Let's
Like it isn't easy at all. Like I had to go to a
yeah, let's
color.
talk about that.
Okay.
So we knew, so you knew that you liked, so this is what I call titanium gray. It's a color that we currently make a number of our frames in. We just never made it in this particular finish with this sheen. But yeah, let's talk about what that process was like to get Powerslide to, match this part and this part and this part and,
Yeah.
All the little
Yeah.
buckles
buckle
and
on the
straps,
side, because
yeah.
they made us, why don't you take it away?
So like we came to them with a concept, and I think everyone liked the concept a lot. And then like Brad had his hex codes that he uses to identify the color of his frames, and then we sent those over to the designers over at Powerslide. Shout out Javier. And he tried to match the color as accurately as possible, and chose a few Pantone colors that they were able to send the factory, basically. And then they did that, and then but like, even if it's the same color, it will show up differently if it's on painted metal, or if it's like anodized, or if it's like on textiles. Like different materials will like show colors a little bit differently. So like we got the first sample back, and like
Do you have that? Is it sitting around?
I have a shell and I have a liner. Switch of you, and I'll go grab it real quick.
Sure. I think
There's
this
the
this
shell.
part was this part was a learning experience for Ari, because I don't think he was prepared to go through this
The
this
color
iterative process
matching.
of color matching. But he'll tell us about how how we solved all this.
But it's so
we actually
it's so
got we
cool.
got
Yeah,
pretty lucky.
the number of collaborators, right? The Powerslide engineers, your team, Ari, like it just seems like it was a really good process overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
was.
okay,
I,
go ahead.
it was quite a bit of work, and not an experience I've ever done before. I've never produced a physical product in my life, so I've never done this process before. I don't know what it's like. I was like, I was, talking to every stakeholder, you know, who was involved in a process, and it was, it was a lot. It was a little overwhelming. But here's a first sample we got, and it was close on the buckles, and
Hold up the other skate next to it so people can see the.
Oh, it's
the color.
green. It's so obviously
It's green. It's green.
yeah. So
It's so obviously green.
Here, it was a little. I only had two hands, so like the
Yeah.
general like vibe was there, but it was showing up as a little bit green. The red was like a little bit pink,
Mhm.
and yeah, the logo, the paint on the logo, it was good, but like everywhere else, it didn't. It I wasn't quite there. So
Did you freak out a little bit, Ari, when you first saw that?
no, I didn't freak out. I was impatient because I wanted a project to come out already, and it's just like, you know, we have to kind of line on colors again, and then have a new sample made, and then it's coming from China again. And like that whole process like adds another 2.5 months. Like that's just it's just how it goes, right? So I was um you know like I wasn't annoyed with a process. I was just impatient. I wanted it, to be out already. So we went to um we went to a color calibrated room, um and basically took a Pantone book, held it up to the frame, and I held it up to the current colors we had, and we were like, okay, how do we like move it over to what we want a little bit. So
Mhm.
we ended up giving Powerslide 3 different colors or no, 4 different colors. One for the, the logo, the other for the paint on the buckles.
Mhm.
Um, I, another for a liner, and then also a lace loop. They communicated that to their factory, um, you who matched it like pretty well, and then had a new sample out in I think around a month later, and they nailed it. Like it was it was great to be involved in that process. Actually, like say, here's how I want it to be, and not just say like, okay, like it um that's not how I envisioned it, and I'm okay with that. Like I wanted it to be a specific way. So yeah, that's the backstory there.
Yeah. And just to that color calibrated room was crazy because like that's not something that average people get access to, but
I know
your
special people.
special people, and so like there's calibrated lighting that you have to look at the color swatches under. So we kind of lucked out with having access to that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, there's for anybody that does design using color. I mean, there's the Pantone matching system, which is a calibrated color book. So that way, when Coca-Cola does an ad campaign, they're always getting the same red that is critical for their branding on every single product. And so yeah, so when you make a skate and you want all these different parts, like Ari was saying, to match, you have to specify a color from one of these color books.
yeah. And they're all like excuse me. Um, it's great to collaborate with multiple brands, entities, and people who are all passionate about the same thing. But the fact of the matter is, if components are coming from different entities,
Mhm.
it just adds another layer of complication like you can't believe. So just like having to manage that and like try to get everyone on the same page, like you know, um, it was not it was not a walk in the park. Like, we had to thread the needle, communicate exactly what we want, um, you know, in order to get it done, basically.
Yeah. Um, so okay, so we have a white boot. We chose the titanium gray because we thought that was a nice neutral color. I mean, as you can see, like I put on pink wheels. I feel like this this platform will allow you to put on whatever crazy colors, whether it's, like I could put on these orange wheels or some
Yes,
neon green ones and it would still look good.
you should skate it stock because it's better that way.
I should skate it stock. Yeah. So we we did a special run of wheels. Let me show these. I have a wheel in my hand here. So Endless makes wheels, and we decided to do a special run of wheels for this project where we put on, obviously we've got the Endless branding here, although all the text is backwards because my screen is mirrored. But we've got the Endless branding, of course, in the same red color, and then we've got the size and the durometer of the wheel, or the hardness of the wheel. And then let's talk about this slogan. Ari, we've got on the wheel, it says, speak freely, live fearlessly.
Yeah. So this project, and it was extremely important to me from the start. Like, I've been a person who's stuttered for, since I was 5 years old, and that's a big part of my identity and a big part of my story. And my relationship between stuttering and skating is extremely intertwined and interwoven. So and the like just to give you context, like, growing up as a kid having a stutter, which like at times is extremely bad, was often challenging. And I had gone to probably like 20 different different speech pathologists throughout my life, and almost everyone was just their approach was just to like add strategies, add like different layers, like, instead of just communicating how you want to communicate, let's like stretch all your vowels or only say a few words at a time and then take a short pause, which like in a controlled environment is able to work and is able to help a person who stutters be more fluent. But out there in the real world, when you're trying to concentrate on what you want to say, like the content, how you're gonna say it, and then also add another strategy on it, like, it is exhausting, and it just like extremely quickly breaks down. So AIS is the American Institute for Stuttering, and they are one of the most well-organized organizations in the world for stuttering advocacy and like general resources. But they also have a certain clinical approach that is all about taking away layers. So helping a person who stutters actually embrace their stutter and just like help turn them into a confident communicator, if that makes sense. So their approach is, how do we strip away layers, not as strategies. Don't run from it, and like just communicate powerfully, effectively, yada yada yada. So I went to them for speech therapy a little after I moved to Manhattan, and like they kind of changed my approach to speech and had the biggest impact on my journey through through life as a person who stutters. So it was, and they um, they offer pro bono speech therapy to those who are not able to afford it, operate on a sliding scale as well for people who are in between, but just offer a great clinical experience and outcome. So they are a nonprofit. They're a nonprofit organization who is always trying to raise money in order to fund what they do, and that's why it was important for 5% of proceeds of this project to go to AIS. So on the wheels, as a as a tribute to them, it has their tagline on it, and that is "Speak freely, live fearlessly." And then on the back of this skate, as a part of my logo, it says "Skate freely, live fearlessly," with a lion decal, which my name in Hebrew means lion, so it's it all comes together to tell that story, if that makes sense. A little rambly there, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
No,
And
yeah,
who designed that lion?
Oh, so the lion was actually the lion artwork was designed by my dad. My dad's a doctor, but he's also a extremely creative and artistic individual, and he actually took the angles and triangles of
Oh, that's
the next
cool.
logo, and he kind of created like negative space in order to 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 illustrate the lion logo, if that makes sense. So
That's super cool. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know about that detail with him using
yeah,
the next
yeah,
logo
yeah,
shapes. Yeah,
yeah,
it's great. So I have a
yeah,
question about stuttering.
yeah,
Um,
sure.
how should the average person respond to someone who is in the process of stuttering?
So it's extremely ironic that you stuttered on that word, but I would say how someone should respond is to be patient and like non-verbally communicate with a person who is stuttering, that you have time and patience ultimately in order to like take off pressure. So that's what you know you you never want to complete a person's words if they're struggling on a word. But yeah, just like have patience and kind of chill. You know, yeah, exercise a little bit of patience.
Yeah,
Slow down.
that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people do have the temptation to finish people's sentences when
Yeah,
they're getting impatient. But yeah, that's really great advice. So thanks for educating us all.
yeah. Of course,
Um,
I have a lot more where that came from. Trust me.
um, let's see. What else do we want to tell people about skate? Anything you want to mention about the hardware that's on this skate or the line? Maybe we should talk about the liner. Someone
Let's
had
yeah.
asked in the comments, like, why didn't Ari put an intuition liner in this?
Okay, so I didn't put an intuition liner in this because um, I don't. They are not. they would add another element of complication by adding another stakeholder into the process. I didn't even speak to him on that. I think as a baseline, um, the liner technology from Powerslide and 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 out of my fit has gotten significantly better and stronger over the last few years. And I tried a prime liner from my fit. I was like, this is an option that is able to work and is a phenomenal baseline. So we like kind of built it around that. And it's actually like I think it makes the next a little bit more accommodating to more people. If you had a little bit of a wider foot and tried next with an intuition, it would like like unequivocally not work at all. With a prime liner, there's a little bit more room, especially in the fourth foot a little bit, and a foam acts out in a really good way to like which like has has created a little bit more space for me in places I need. It's not always extremely comfortable out of the box, but an intuition is not either. And yeah, I just think it's a quality product that we were able to deliver at a competitive price because uh, adding another layer just you know would have been a non-starter.
So this was my first time skating a prime liner, and I have to say that I feel like this was the first time I skated a my fit liner that I actually liked. All my previous experiences with the Powerslide liners had been kind of mediocre at best. I would get like a lot of hot spots, or I just couldn't get them to break in right. But I skated this liner for the first time on Sunday, just this past Sunday, and as I was telling you, Ari, I found that it was it felt very snug. It was tight and snug, but in a good way, like in a comfy way. I think I still need to experiment with the lacing so that way I can get the main laces to lace up through the liner. Because I have skinny ankles, so I need to get like a really tight fit up here.
Yeah.
But we just did an 8 mile skate, and I had zero hot spots, no blisters, nothing. It actually felt really great. So yeah, I would say this is by far the best my fit liner I've ever had the opportunity to try.
Yeah, I've tried. I mean, I've tried almost all of them, and this liner in every Powerslide skate has always been the best. I've tried it in the USD Aeon as well, the USD Sway. I even tried it in the Icon ACTs a few weeks ago, and yeah, it opens up space where, like, in a really good way, that is still a really good hit around your foot, especially after you break it in. Like I like it's good, it's quality. So like I'm extremely proud of this package as a whole. So
Yeah.
and that was a big part of it. If I didn't like a prime liner, like we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Full stop.
I also thought that the laces were decent. Like usually on skates, the stock laces are actually kind of crappy, but are these are wax laces, aren't they, Ari? I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah. And so they they were surprisingly good. Um, but the cool thing I think about this skate, because it's kind of a blank canvas, is you can, customize, add some pops of color by swapping out the laces.
Go
yeah. But I
crazy.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
The
I wouldn't do that.
the other thing that I thought was really nice about this, so I have a neck skate that I've had for a few years. I really like the metal buckle. This is
Yeah,
a much like a huge improvement over the old plastic buckle. This is metal too. So yeah, I feel like we were able to put like all the best hardware on this skate that Powerslide offers.
yeah. Like the like the buckle is a new Kaiser buckle, um, which is another brand owned by Powerslide, and it's just it's like kind of oversized, and it's just after you have tension in the cuff, it's just easy. It's easy to close. Like just those like small little things. Like I remember on my first X, it had a plastic buckle, and I would try to close it, and a buckle would like fold in half just because
Yeah,
I wasn't able to handle that tension. But here it's just like, you know, if you want a little bit of it, it works amazing. And if you have like it all the way in there, like it will close. Like, and it's not extremely hard. After you get to that point, it's just, yeah, it's done. So
yeah.
I've been really enjoying it, easier to head in and out of. Um, yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, there's also a shock absorber on the bottom of the liner, which is
That's right on the bottom
pretty.
of the liner.
Yeah, so that's pretty sizable. Felt pretty good. I was skating my old necks without the shock absorber, and it was kind of harsh. But
Yeah,
this makes it a lot more comfy. Yeah, I mean the boot just looks so good with the top down, with the look down.
yeah,
I mean, it's just so sleek.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Replaceable bumper guard too if you scratch it up way more than
yeah,
Ari did.
yeah.
But yeah,
So yeah, I'm excited for this to break in a little more. Also, oh, do you show them even the insole? It's got a little nice
Yeah, so
touch. And
I'm still skating the sample. So my install is not what you guys have.
all right, let's see if
But
I can. Can you see it? There it
oh
is.
sweet.
It's got his
so
little lion in there with
I love
the
that.
a red as well. So
Yeah, the red
yeah,
accent's really nice down there.
yeah, just
yeah. So that's a cool touch.
yeah, just a nice little touch. Again, shout out Javier. He was a guy who made that happen. So that was
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
love the attention
and
to detail. A couple people, yeah, in the chat, I think reiterating how nice the prime liner is from MyFit, and then yeah, Jordan pointing out recently here, the MyFit primes are heat moldable, which can help with a little bit of break in.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I like. I don't. I'm gonna try to do a dedicated video or article on that.
mhm.
Um, just because I know it can be intimidating for people who are just starting out. But I have not heat and molded mine, and I just kind of like I just kind of break them in naturally. And yeah, like after like 3 or 4 sessions, I have it how I want it, and like I'm good to go there. So
Mhm.
yeah,
yeah, I feel like the break in on this is going to be not terrible for me. I'm fortunate to be kind of like in the middle of the size range, so. Um, but yeah, it was a good first skate experience in terms of comfort, but also feeling like it had a good performance fit. Maybe we should just briefly tell people what kind of foot fits best in this skate, because it's not
Yep.
for all feet.
Yeah, it isn't. If you have a bad attitude, you probably no, I'm kidding. It's for I would say it's for people who have a narrow to medium width foot. If you have a extremely wide foot, it's probably not going to be a skate for you. Although like Austin, who has a extremely wide foot, he's able to make it work. I'm not, but yeah, it's designed to give most people a performance fit. So it is not the easiest skate to get in and out of. I will tell you that up front. But after you're in there and it's broken in, like it delivers a high performance experience. So that's just like, how the skate was designed. Like it's meant to give a close to the shell kind of experience in order to like maximize control and performance. But yeah, it was designed for most people. If you have a extremely wide foot, then you're probably gonna struggle with this a little bit. So that's just the only, but there are other things you can do as well. It'll just take a little bit of work, but they're designed for most people and giving most people a performance kind of experience out of the box, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes
Here's
total
a good
sense.
question.
Yeah,
Good
go
question
ahead.
about the liner. Any tips for cleaning it?
I'm not the right person to ask because I've never cleaned a liner ever, and I skate extremely often, and I just deal with the consequences. I haven't had that much trouble. My intuitions smell a little bit, but I still have friends, so it can't be that bad. And yeah, so no, I don't have any tips. Sorry.
My super minor tip on smell is dryer sheets sometimes are nice to put in after a skate. They can help alleviate smells a little bit and leave my skates feeling a little nicer. Yeah, we've got a couple other questions along the way here, I think, from a couple other people. I think quite a bit that we've touched on. But Brad, if there's any that in particular are standing out to you, feel free to highlight them.
Yeah, I've been trying to scroll up. I think now would probably be a good time to tell people if anybody's got a question that you're dying to have answered, if you could do us a favor and type and post a new comment with your question, so that way we can find it at the end of the chat here.
Hector's got a great question, Brad, if you can highlight from the YouTube here. Where can people buy the Stuttering Skater signature skate, also known as the Powerslide Next Endless AB skate, internationally?
Yeah, great question, Hector. Okay, so we were prepared for this one. I'm going to throw this up on the screen. There's 3 locations where you can buy the skate. If you're in the US, you can buy it from the Endless Blading website. That would be endlessblading.com. If you're in Canada, you can get it from Solo Inline. And anywhere else in the world, you can buy it from This Is Soul in the Netherlands. So the skate is listed currently at each of those shops. So you should be able to find the product listing. And if you can't remember any of this, you can just, if you go to the Endless Blading website and you click on the Learn More button on our homepage next to the picture of the skate, it'll bring you to a landing page that at the bottom also has these three dealers listed as well. So yeah, great question.
How much coming in at $4.99, which is an absolute steal.
Yeah,
in this blading store.
And someone very early in the chat was saying, made a comment like, "Oh, not after tariffs." Ari and I did a really good job getting all the skates imported into the U.S. before all the tariffs went into effect. So $4.99 is the price, right? Ari, are they selling it for 4.99 euros that this is sold? Do you remember?
So I believe in Europe they have to um they have to have listed price post tax, like post VAT basically. So I think he built in that price after, but like here in the US, how 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 pricing operates is it's a price pre-tax. I believe in Europe it's post-tax, so it's it's at the same baseline. It's not going to be, cheaper. Yeah, so that's the post tax, I believe. But yeah, that yeah.
Yeah, and also this is a good point. This is Seoul now has physical stores not only in the Netherlands but also in a new store in Belgium, and then they have their Berlin store that they opened last year. So, yeah, go check out their shops. Let's see. I'll just do some other random questions here. Will there be an Ari and Endless Blading helmet collab in the works?
No, probably not.
Yeah. What kind of helmet you skating?
I typically wear the Burn, like Burn Major helmet, which they stopped producing last year. Um, just because they have another model that like is was kind of going after this same market. So they have sent me a few helmets, but that's kind of what I'm using now. But I'm not married to any brand.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm using the Powerslide or the yeah, it's the Powerslide Elite helmet, the one that's super super light that has kind of like the
The
baseball.
Inui one, right?
Oh, a newy one. Yeah. I
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
doesn't weigh anything. So, yeah, that helmet is pretty good. I think it's on sale right now for like $40 or something, $45. Um,
To answer
are
your
we going to
question,
get
no.
what's that?
To answer your question, no, we're not going to be collaborating on a helmet.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Not yet.
Uh,
Not yet.
are we going to get frames with smaller wheels than the standard arc on Trinity? Oh, they must be, is Jeffrey
76,
referring
right?
to the Arc CS? I would like to do an Arc CS Trinity. So yeah, it's on my list. So that will probably happen at some point.
I would like that too.
Yeah. I think we answered this earlier, but if not, the wheels on this skate are 85A.
85A.
Mhm.
Yeah. You got any other favorites? Do you like a range, Ari, or do you always stick
No,
to pretty much 85A?
I like 85A. If I had an option to either have more, like either to have more grip or more slide, I will take more grip every time. So that's
Agreed.
85A is like the perfect balance there. 88A is just, it depends on the brand obviously, but like that's just a little too hard for big wheels and like not as nice of a ride. And then and I start to slide on them, they start to break down a lot quicker as well. That's just been my personal experience. But yeah, I love 85A.
All right, here's another one. Can we attach those straps on the next cuff to the towel? And Andrew, do you have a towel? Do you know about
Ari,
this?
do you mind if I see that mounting on the cuff real quick? Brad, could you blow it up?
Blow it up
The
here?
answer is probably yes. I have just recently. Oh, yes, you can. So I just recently changed out the straps on my Powerslide Hardcore Evos, which are the same cuff as the Taos. So the answer is yes. They have these cuffs they have these straps on sale as aftermarket parts. You can find them on Powerslide's website directly and a number of other retailers. I got mine through Inline Warehouse. So yes.
Cool.
Oh. Here's a cool comment about the blank canvas. Eric says he had fun sticker bombing it. That's a great idea. Yeah, like I would love to see somebody go to town with some paint markers on this boot. I feel like it's coming.
No, skate it stock. It looks
You know,
better
Austin's
that
gonna
way.
do something like that though.
No, he should skate it stock. It looks clean. Keep it clean, baby. It
I
looks
like
amazing.
them too. Some a couple questions from Instagram prior to the show. The World with Angelina asks, what skating styles is this suited for? I would say all. I mean, it's got
That's a really
the
good question.
4x90, it's got the 3x100.
Well, I kind of love his question because the the goal of this project is to make skating accessible and fun for everyone. If you are a inspired beginner or a pro or an expert, like this skate is going to offer, um, you know, just like I think everything you 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 could want in that. So it's kind of for anyone who wants a premium experience out of the box and just like a phenomenal baseline, um, if you will. But yeah, like I strongly believe that if you're an adult and you're trying to skate, you should be in a hard boot, or in a skate that offers the support in order to, to navigate uh, different terrain. So yeah, I think that this is for everyone, and the size range with the different frames, I think illustrates that wrongly. But even the feedback I've gotten from friends who are not, uh, you know, like are not professional skaters, or it's a small hobby for them, is how intuitive it is how intuitive it is out of the box, and you know how easy the ride is immediately. So yeah, it's for everyone. Truly.
Yeah, I love that. And I think earlier, right, very early on the show, we talked about how you try to make your, content so accessible so you don't need the context. And I think, that's what this skate is it's the, the ultimate, skating experience with all the bells and whistles and all the parts. But it's at that nice price point. It's an open canvas for everybody to kind of turn into the skate that they want. We're not trying to price people out and say this is the elite skating experience that you can only get
No.
if you've been following, every Instagram and underground
Yeah.
channel forever. No, it's like, we want, if you're curious about skating and what, really kind of the best experience can feel like, you can try that, and you can try it
Yeah.
at a really affordable price, and you can fall in love with skating all over again. And I think, that's really exciting.
One thing, Ari, I don't know if we said this explicitly, but I feel like one of the goals of this whole skate project was to basically offer a skate that's like fully upgraded out of the box, that you don't need to do anything to,
Yeah.
other than
Yeah.
like if you just want different lace colors, like
Yeah.
this thing is ready to rock.
Yeah, like I think the biggest challenge and issue, and like I've had friends who have, try to get into the sport, and they're like, where do I start? And it's like, okay, like you should get this boot, and then you should get this liner, and then you should get this frame and these wheels. It's a lot of transactional friction, like where that is just not, you know, is not in is not it isn't not inspiring confidence for someone who is just a little bit interested uh, in a sport or in a hobby. So like we wanted to take out those points of friction and just offer a complete setup out of the box, and that is proportionally sized and designed in order to, you know, give everyone the same experience out of the box, so that you'll have confidence of like, okay, I'm able to order one product and I know I am set up at a phenomenal baseline. And that's ultimately the goal here.
Brad, just want to point out you're on mute here as you were trying to make that.
Oh,
that
sorry.
All good.
There, I'm back. I was just saying that was an excellent point and very well said. Someone had a question: is it possible to get a boot for size 14 to 15? Do we go 46 to 47?
Yeah. So sadly, that's only up to size 12 and a half men's US, not all the way up to 14, 15. I'm sorry, my very big-footed friends.
Yeah, I don't even know what a 14, 15 would be.
I think I know of one skate because I remember looking into this, and it's a pretty obscure, I think, recreational or fitness skate that comes in that size, unfortunately.
Yeah. Someone said we need a 4x100 LR endless frame. Maybe. I mean,
I don't know if we do.
yeah.
I think that like
I don't think we do either personally, but
I think that there is a point of diminishing returns when you go higher. Like a platform is staying the same. If you're going higher but still trying to stay low, like I think that there's a point of diminishing returns. And like some people actually ask, like, how come on a larger sizes you just, you know, have an endless a have an endless 100 the Trinity version of an endless 100, and it's just because I don't think that gives the same experience out of the box. We were trying to have everything optimized in that sweet spot, but I'm not going to speak on behalf of Brad. You know, if if he has a project he wants to do, but I just think there's a point of diminishing returns there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely 4x90 is probably the most popular size we sell. Good question though. Would it be possible to make the next boot size adjustable? I think that's a question for Powerslide. I mean, they are dual sizing shells.
Well, I like, it depends on what you mean by size adjustable. You could always add or remove material in an insole, in a shock absorber, in a liner, yada yada yada. That's always possible, and that's how, you know, if you get a pair of ski boots and it's like fit to your foot, that's what they do. They add or take out material. But make a skate actually, like, you know, slide up and down would compromise a lot of performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, dupes are an option if you want to
Yeah.
kind of have some adjustability, but yeah, not the most supportive skates in the world.
Yeah.
I got another question over here. Let's see. This is an important one for you, Ari. You're going to be rolling in these for Wednesday night skate.
For tomorrow, Wednesday night skate. That is a good question. I may or may not go. It depends on work and on other plans. But I was here last week and the week before. So yeah, I mean, I'm around all summer long, I hope. I am planning on going to Europe a bit, so, but
Oh.
other than that, I will be around all summer long.
I hope I can join you for one of those skates, Ari, since I'm not
Yeah,
too
please.
far away. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
awesome.
Andrew, you have any others from Instagram there?
Yeah, just a few kind of rapid fire ones that I think we've largely covered. New to skating, this is Brennan777. What road type would these be best for? I have mostly cobblestone around me at the moment. My personal take is cobblestone is just gonna suck no matter what you do. There's probably not many skates that can handle that, but for all your general road conditions, Ari skates the streets of New York, which are, everywhere from freshly paved to probably not paved in the last, 50 years or so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'd say for all your standard skating needs, they'll handle it well.
Agreed.
Silas Roby says, I have Zetra blades and I just took the brake off. Can I make it any better? You can get this skate, and I think revolutionize your skating experience compared to a Zetra blade. Not that we don't love, just getting into the sport and whatever gets you out skating. But if you skate this, your life will be much, much better. Question for you. How many, and we get this quite a bit, Santiago, how many millimeters of rock ring does the frame have?
Oh, okay. That is special secret sauce. Yeah, that's proprietary secret. I can tell you that all of our rockers are they're different across the frames. I strive to give people a consistent experience, and I think this is something that's unique to the way that I design frames for Endless, which is I don't just have like a default 1 or 2 millimeter rocker that I apply to everything. It's really based on the wheelbase size and what I'm trying to achieve with the particular frame design, like what the application is going to be. So yeah, sorry, I can't give out that information.
It changes and it feels good. I think Ari, earlier in the show, you were talking about how it's a nice kind of balance of maneuverability, but you also rode this thing, 50 plus miles an hour down a hill, right? So it's got a good mix, I think, of stability and maneuverability. Just got a question in the chat from Kaya. Any chance on smaller sizes? Good quality 34 is hard to find. Brad,
we got the small size. We have small sizes in stock. So if you're looking for them, you can order from Endless Blading website. Ari, do you know if any of the other dealers have the small size?
The smallest one, I think, because the demand is not as high for those sizes, we have most of that inventory. And yeah, I think that's a 36, 37 is the smallest size.
Yeah, that looks like the case here. Just a small comment. Earlier in the show, one of our listeners or viewers said Ari is the Spider-Man of skating, a blend of agility and quips. So I like that a lot. And then also a question for you, Ari. Do you have music in mind before you skate? And what music is going to go with your different videos before you do your skating?
Good question. I typically don't have specific music in mind. It kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for. My playlist is all over the map, but I also, as of late, have been like kind of raw dogging it as well, and just like taking in the sounds of the city and everywhere I am. So yeah.
I love that. Letting the sound flow through you.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
Brad, two quick
Andrew,
questions for you in the chat. I think.
Yeah, go for it.
Emmanuel says, "Ultra frames for the Trinity team?" ?
Never. I won't say never, but it's not. Trinity is kind of like, how do I say this? Trinity is already a pretty stiff platform, so I feel like um, it's not a high priority to bring like the ultra spec to Trinity right now. I have other stuff. I have a bunch of other stuff in the works that I'm focusing on, but we might, who knows, we might see something like that in the future. So I
Mhm.
guess stay tuned.
Yep,
Oh,
and that
someone wanted
question
to
from
know about
Jags as
carbon free.
well.
I have
Yeah.
no clue. Like,
I,
well, with tariffs, $1,000. So no.
All right,
Um,
Kuroshiki, welcome into the chat. Feel free to pop your questions in. Yes, go ahead and pop your questions in. While we do that,
I
and
got some
while
questions over here on the
yeah,
Instagram
yeah, fire away, fire
live
away.
stream. Derek Tyler Blades asked, how do you feel? This is for Ari. How do you feel about embracing new skaters and their efforts to break into the inline space?
how do you define an inline space?
Maybe he
Like,
means like rollerblading on YouTube and Instagram and
oh,
TikTok.
I I I don't really understand the question. I wholeheartedly embrace it. I feel like everyone should um try to find their voice and express and communicate and share their experience. And so yeah, I mean I like it's 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 pretty evergreen right now. There's not a lot of people who are in the space. So if you have passion and are prepared to like, you know, truly share what your experience is, then I think there's space and there's room 100%.
Yeah. Another one here from, I don't know how to say this, but anyway, they were wondering if you had any tips for wheel rotation.
I'm the wrong person to ask about that because
You don't ever
I
rotate.
I I hardly ever rotate, and if I do, I just do the you know the the front to back, and then I swap the 1 and 3 and the 2 and 4, and that's it. And I
Yeah,
call it a
that
day. So, but
yeah.
I'm the wrong person to ask. Like how I use my right skate and how I use my left skate is like kind of different. So like I kind of like how they wear a little bit differently. It enables me to like do different things. I don't know.
Yeah, we have on the Endless Blading help site, we've got some articles about wheel rotation, and also we did an episode. Andrew, do you remember what episode it was where we talked? It was the Tech Tips one for 12, 11. I don't
We've
know.
had so many by now, but yeah, I think we discussed this in great detail in one of the prior endless blading episodes that you can
Yeah,
definitely
I
check
I
out.
think if you go to the help site, you find any of the setup guides. There's
Mhm.
links to that video where we did a pretty detailed dive in wheel rotation for the different frames that we make.
But yeah, my
Um,
advice is always don't let it stop you from skating, right?
Yeah, no, just skate. It's fine.
Just skate.
yeah.
W-
We got, yeah, this is a great question, Brad. I think always been curious for you, Ari. What's your biggest bail or slam, or do you just never fall?
Um, that's a good question. No, I definitely fall. I actually took a spill yesterday. Where I got on my hands a little bit
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Um, I was like, oh shit, where is it? Excuse me. Uh, I fall. I what's my biggest fall is I was coming down the Williamsburg Bridge about a year-ish ago. Was coming down the Williamsburg Bridge, like going pretty fast, skating backwards. Uh, tried to stop and then just like completely washed out. And like I hurt my wrist pretty bad. So that was probably the biggest one that I can remember recently. Um, I fall often if I'm like trying tricks at spots where I've never skated before, and it's just, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, if you're
All
not
right, let's.
pulling, I don't think you're getting much better.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I always like to tell people.
All right, here's another one for you. What's your experience with Flying Eagle?
I've actually never skated Flying Eagle skates or products, but um, like I love what their design team is doing, and I think they're offering quality stuff at a good price. Yeah, I don't have any experience with them, so but I love what Lino does, and I know he's there as a brand manager, and yeah.
In Brazil, we say "wheel Radazio." I like that.
Or Dizio, yeah, that's cool.
Radazio. Yeah, I might have to steal
Gotta
that.
work on your Portuguese accent there.
Oh, you're right. I said it with a Spanish accent. You're right.
I got a question here for you, Ari. This is from Johnny B. Jones. Ari, what is your favorite place to skate in the city?
Depends on the vibe. If I want like high octane, like trying to cut up traffic, like Fifth Avenue, anywhere below like 50th Street is really fun. And then there's a hill that like it's a really progressive hill that starts on like 38th. Um, and it like takes you past 34th Street, the Empire State Building, and into 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 Flatiron. And that's like always a blast. I really enjoy that trip in the city. If I want something more chill and I want to do some flatland stuff, I like to go to Air 76. It's this like smooth, completely open air, like right off of Hudson Yards, and it's just it's a dream. It's an absolute dream. I'm a huge fan.
Another question here from Ruli Seskovich. What is better to start Wizard? Higher cuff or lower, hard or flexible?
I'm not the right person to ask on that. I know that if you're into wizard skating, you want more of a progressive kind of flex. I will say that I'm like, you know, like I tried to dabble, but before I was skating a prime liner, I was skating the next with an Intuition Premium, and Intuition Premium is great, obviously, but it's like his skate with Intuition Premium. It's like kind of like linear, where um, it's stiff, uh, but it like it doesn't really like move with your foot as much. So the of flex is just a lot more linear with a prime liner because it's like a little bit more like anatomically shaped maybe, or it's not as hard in the tongue. uh it's it like adds a nice kind of a progressive feel to the flex. The next is not a progressively flexing skate, but the prime liner like actually like a kind of introduces a little bit of that into the experience. So if you like don't have anything else, like this is a great kind of baseline, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we're coming up on the 2 hour mark here, which is kind of long. I feel like we should maybe just take like a handful of last questions and then say goodbye.
All right,
But
let's
I
do
gotta
it.
pee.
Yeah, two more questions and then we sign off. How about that?
yeah,
Sounds good.
before everybody leaves, be sure to subscribe to the Endless Blading YouTube channel and obviously to Ari's YouTube channel and Instagram. If you, don't do his, do not subscribe to the Stuttering Skater. No, but please, please, you can follow us at Endless Blading on both YouTube and Instagram. We would really appreciate that. All right, last final questions here. Let's see what we got. Anna asks, Ari, where would you recommend to do your first ride in the city? She's a bit scared to go on the streets of New York City. Got any tips?
Okay, so first of all, like if you are new to skating or not 100% confident in your abilities, do not go on the streets in the city. Just full stop. It is a dynamic environment, and it's extremely high consequence. I would say if you're able to get to Manhattan, Air 76 is a dream. It's almost completely flat. It's a controlled environment. It's just like a huge park that is all concrete, and it's extremely smooth. Like it's absolutely wonderful. So I would highly recommend starting there. Is a great place.
All right.
I like the last question too, Brad, that you start here as well, from Red Blue. I think.
Okay, yeah, let's throw that one up.
Yeah.
What do you do to prepare for a skate?
I skate to kind of escape, right? It's like it's my therapy, where I just want to uh forget about the the mm, the general stressors I have in my life. So it's kind of me unplugging. I will say if I don't, if head's not all the way there and I'm not feeling super sharp, I'm not gonna go skate in the streets and try to beat traffic. I'll probably go skate in the park, and you know what I mean. So, but typically speaking, it's like it's how I unplug. So I don't. How I mentally prepare for a skate is I probably exhaust myself and get really stressed out with life, and then I'm ready to skate. I don't know.
There you go. I love that too. I think there's something just so freeing about the experiences as you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
last two questions, and then we're
all right,
calling here.
Brad. You're
These
the
are quick ones.
Questions.
You ever been doored? Are you ever been doored? I know that's what people live to see when they see the urban skate videos.
No, I have never been doored. It's been close a few times, but yeah, like that's also why I try to stay in the middle of the street and not cut in next to parked cars or double parked cars, because the chances of someone opening their door suddenly in a stationary car is significantly higher than someone doing it in a moving car. So
Yeah. All right, this is the final question. Again, thanks
question.
everybody for joining us tonight. Ari, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show here. And
Appreciate it. Thank
yeah.
you.
All right, final question for you.
Such a cheat.
What is your dream collab?
That is like I'm supposed to say endless, right? Endless
Yeah, such a setup
and
question.
Powerslide, but I'm gonna go big and say Rolex is my dream collab. I'm sorry.
There we go. The Ari custom watch right next
Yes.
to the special Stuttering Skater signature skate.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, Ari, I just want to say, thanks again. It's been a blast to have you on the show. And, as you can tell, I think just with the community engagement here, you are, well loved in the community, and everybody, I think, is really inspired by, your skating, your message, what you're doing with AIS and the skate and the meaning behind it. And it's so great that you get to share, I think, part of your style with the world and the skating community, and really offer that. And Brad, that you got to, help turn that into a real product. So I think you guys should be, really proud of the great product you put out. And hopefully, there's more stuff in the future. And Ari, I know Brad, really values all your input on all the future products. And, you're really part of, I think, that the Endless brand, and that quality, the joy, and the freedom that Brad tries to embody and Endless embodies. So anyway, thanks to everybody for tuning in for a great show. A wonderful long one where we, scoured all about the skate, and all about, Ari's experience as a skater, and got great engagement from you guys. So I think with that, any last plugs or last things you guys want to leave the audience with today?
Go buy the skate, and if you have any questions, reach out to me or Brad, and we'll try to make your experience as seamless as possible. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I appreciate everyone's time, energy, and efforts, and yeah, it's it's an honor to be a part of this community. So
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
Well said. All right, we'll see everybody next episode sometime next month.
See you guys. Peace out.